There's a $2 plant sitting on millions of windowsills across America, and in university trials, a simple extract from its leaves boosted vegetable growth by as much as 69%. Most folks only ever use it for a sunburn. Today, I'll show you the no-blender way to turn one aloe leaf into free plant food. And stick around, because the rooting trick at the end is the one your neighbors will be knocking on your door to ask about. Now let me be straight with you right from the start. Aloe is not some magic powder that replaces everything in a fertilizer bag. It won't, and anybody who tells you different is selling something. I've gathered the research on this university trials plant science papers, and I've pulled out what actually holds up and what's just garden gossip. So here's the honest version. What aloe does, it does for free. And for most of us, that's the part that matters most. Have you ever stood in the garden aisle looking at the price tags and thought, when did keeping a few tomatoes alive get this expensive? You're not alone. Bottle after bottle, rooting powder liquid feed bug spray. It adds up season after season. And the worst part? Half those bottles end up half used in the garage, dried out and forgotten by spring. You buy them, you use a little, and the rest just gathers dust. So today we're going to lean on something a whole lot simpler and a whole lot cheaper. Something you might already have sitting in a pot by the window right now. We'll cover 3 things. Why aloe works on your soil, the real science kept nice and simple, the 5-step recipe a 70-year-old can do without lifting a heavy blender, and exactly where the savings show up, because I won't pretend they're bigger than they are. Remember that number 5 steps. We'll come back to it. Here's the thing. Back when money was tight, and for a lot of us that wasn't so long ago, folks couldn't just run to the store for a bag of plant food. They used what grew in the yard. A neighbor of mine still keeps an aloe plant on her kitchen sill, same as her mother did, and her mother before that. Nobody called it a bio-stimulant back then. They just knew it worked. And now finally we actually know why. So here's why this works. A bag of fertilizer feeds the plant directly. Aloe does something a little different. It helps the soil and the roots do their own job better. Scientists call that a bio-stimulant. Big word, simple idea. Think of it like a cup of coffee for your plants. Coffee isn't a meal, but it sure helps you get more out of your day. Aloe's a helper, not a dinner. Now let me show you what's actually inside that leaf. Crack one open and you'll find a clear, slippery gel. In that gel are natural plant hormones, the same kind a plant makes on its own when everything's going right. There's also a compound called acemannan and natural plant soaps called saponins. Each one pulls a little weight. But here's the honest part, and I want you to hear it. Those hormones show up in tiny amounts, and they wobble from leaf to leaf. One plant won't match the next, depending on its age and how it was grown. So aloe isn't a measured dose like a bottle off the shelf. It's a gentle nudge, a little push in the right direction. Keep your expectations honest, and you'll never be disappointed. Now, here's what surprised the researchers. In university trials, everyday vegetables, cucumber, tomato, lettuce, kale, were given a weak aloe spray, and those plants grew 40 to 69% more leafy growth than the ones left without it. Let that sink in. That's a real measured result from a leaf most folks toss in the trash. Not bad for free. And there's more going on down where you can't see it. That slippery compound, the acemannan, helps feed the tiny living things in your soil. Now your soil isn't just dirt, it's alive, full of helpful microbes that quietly carry food to your plant's roots. Old-timers always said, feed the soil, not the plant. Turns out, they were right all along. Aloe gives those little helpers a snack, and they pay it forward to your plants. A viewer in Ohio wrote in to say she'd been pouring a watered-down aloe mix on her windowsill herbs all winter. Her basil, in her words, finally stopped sulking. Now that's one person's kitchen, not a laboratory. But it lines up with what the studies show. And honestly, that's the kind of small, no-risk win this is all about. So why isn't this common knowledge? Honestly, it mostly comes down to habit. We reach for a bottle because that's what's on the shelf, and that's what we've always done. A free leaf on the windowsill just never made it onto the instructions. But now you know. And the proof is in the pudding. Let's talk money for a second, because that's the whole promise. The average American household spends around $600 a year on lawn and garden soil, seed, feed, sprays. All of it. Now, aloe is not going to wipe that bill out. I told you I wouldn't pretend. But a tub of rooting powder, a jug of liquid plant food, a can of bug spray. Those are the small repeating costs that aloe can chip away at. And one mature leaf makes weeks of plant food. For nothing. All right, here's the recipe. 5 steps. Grab a pen if you like, but honestly, it's simple enough to remember by the end. Step 1. Pick the right leaf. You want an outer leaf, one of the older, thick, plump ones, down near the bottom of the plant. Those are the ones loaded with gel. Cut it clean at the base with an ordinary kitchen knife. Just one leaf. That's it. The plant won't even miss it. Step 2, and this is the lazy gardener's way. No blender required. Slice that leaf into chunks, skin and all, and drop them into 1 gallon of water. A clean bucket works just fine. Now, a lot of recipes out there tell you to blend the leaf into a slurry. And maybe that's fine if you're younger and don't mind hauling out a heavy blender and scrubbing the jar after. But you don't have to. Let those chunks sit in the water overnight, about 24 hours. No machine, no mess, no aching hands. The water pulls the good stuff out of the leaf all on its own, while you sleep. By morning, you've got your aloe water ready to go. Step 3. Water it down. Mix 1 part of that aloe water with 10 parts plain water. 1 scoop aloe, 10 scoops plain. Easy to remember. Then pour it around the base of your plants every couple of weeks in the morning. A light watering can or a simple spray bottle is all you need. No heavy lifting, no special gear. Step 4. Your pest helper. Add a few drops of neem oil to a quart of that diluted aloe water. Give it a good shake and mist any leaves where you spot soft little bugs like aphids. Now again, this is a helper, not a miracle. If you've got a full-blown infestation already marching across the garden, that needs real treatment. But for everyday prevention, a few drops goes a long way. Step 5. And this is the rooting trick I promised you. When you're starting a new cutting, say a piece of rosemary, or a snip off a favorite rose, dip the cut end in a little diluted aloe gel for about 20 minutes before you plant it. Why does this help? The gel coats the cut, keeps it clean, and gives that little stem a gentle signal to start growing roots. Here's the proof. In one university trial on pomegranate cuttings, aloe rooted just about as well as the store-bought rooting hormone, 27% versus 23%. Read that again. A free leaf off your windowsill, holding its own against the bottle you pay for. Your neighbors really will ask what your secret is. Now, before we go further, one important note, and this one's Non-negotiable. Aloe is toxic to cats, dogs, and horses if they chew on the plant. So keep your aloe up and out of reach of curious pets and grandkids. And if a pet ever does take a bite, don't panic. Just call the ASPCA poison line at 888-426-4435. Keep that number on the fridge. Better safe than sorry. And a quick word on where aloe likes to live, because I know we've got folks watching from all over. If you're in USDA Zone 10 or 11, think Florida, South Texas, Southern California, your aloe is happy outdoors all year long. Zone 9. You'll want to protect it from frost or bring it indoors when it gets cold. And anywhere colder than that, which is most of us a sunny windowsill, does the job just fine. Rain or shine. Now let me save you some grief with 3 quick mistakes folks make. Mistake 1. Using the young inner leaves. Don't. They're thin and short on gel. Stick to the older, outer ones. Mistake 2. Pouring it on full strength. More is not better here. Always water it down, or you can do more harm than good. And mistake 3, making a giant batch and storing it for months. Aloe water is fresh stuff. Mix what you'll use in a week or 2 and make more when you need it. That's it. Here's the part that really pays off down the road. 1 aloe plant makes babies' little pups that pop up around the base. 3 or 4 a year on average. Twist one off, pot it up in a paper cup of soil, and you've got yourself another free plant. Give them to the grandkids for their first windowsill. Trade them with a neighbor over the fence. Line a few along your kitchen sill. In a couple of years, that one $2 plant becomes a whole row, and every single one of them makes more free plant food. That's how a $2 plant pays you back for years. Now picture this. It's a Saturday morning, and the neighbor strolls over while you're out front. They see your tomatoes thick green, standing up proud, and they ask what you've been feeding them. And you get to smile and say, a $2 plant on my kitchen sill. That right there is the fun part. No fancy products, no big secret. Just a little know-how passed down and proven out. And if they want one of their own, well, you've got pups to spare. Let me leave you with the 3 things to remember, because I know we covered a lot. 1 leaf. 1 gallon of water. Overnight. Do just that much, and you've already started. Everything else, the rooting dip, the pest spray, the pups, that's gravy on top. So let's bring it home. Aloe will not replace your whole fertilizer shelf. I've been honest with you about that from the start. But it'll root your cuttings, give your soil a gentle boost, and shrink a few of those small nagging bills. All from a plant you can grow on a sill. The folks who lived through lean years already knew this. We just have the science now to back it up. If you've got 1 aloe plant at home, here's your 1 job this week. Go cut a single outer leaf and start a bucket. 1 leaf, 1 gallon of water, left to sit overnight. That's the whole thing, start to finish. 5 simple steps, and you're off and running. Grow a little more food, save a little money, and have some fun out there. If this helped you today, you know what to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Happy gardening.